2 hours after our baby was born, I looked at my husband, waiting for him to hold our child. Instead, he leaned close and said, "I already have a son with someone else. I am not signing anything for this baby." I did not cry. I did not argue. I only looked at the tiny bracelet on my daughter's wrist and whispered, "Then remember this moment." The next morning, he came back asking to see us. But the folder on my bedside table had already changed everything. Part 1. The hospital room was still bright, with that strange morning light that makes everything look softer than it feels. My daughter was wrapped against my chest in a white blanket with pink and blue stripes, her little hospital bracelet loose around one ankle, her tiny mouth moving, like she was trying to understand the world she had just entered. Julian stood by the window in a gray coat that cost more than my first car payment. He had held my hand through 11 hours of labor. He had told the nurse twice that he was excited to be a father. He had kissed my forehead when our daughter cried for the first time. Then I asked him to hold her. He didn't step forward. "Julian?" I whispered. His eyes stayed on the baby, but not with love. Not even fear. It was the look a man gives a document he already knows will cost him something. "Alina," he said quietly, "there's something you need to understand." The room changed before he finished the sentence. The nurse's cartwheels squeaked somewhere in the hall. A monitor beeped softly beside my bed. My hands were still shaking from delivery, but I pulled my daughter closer as if my body knew before my mind did. He leaned close enough that no one outside the room could hear. "I already have a son with Victoria," he said. "He was born 4 months ago." For a second, I thought the words had landed in the wrong life. Victoria was his executive assistant. Polished, quiet, always standing half a step behind him at company dinners, with a tablet in her hand and a smile that never reached all the way to her eyes. I had met her twice, once near a holiday drink table, where she asked me how the nursery was coming along and then excused herself before I could finish answering. Now my husband was standing in a maternity room telling me she had a child with him, a son, his son. "My family knows," Julian continued. "They've met him. There are expectations I can't ignore." I looked down at my daughter, Maya, 2 hours old, still damp at the hairline, still curled into herself, like she trusted the world because she had not yet been taught otherwise. "What expectations?" asked. Julian straightened his coat. That small movement told me more than his words did. He wasn't speaking like a husband. He was preparing a statement. "My family needs clarity," he said. "The Vance name has responsibilities." "The Vance name?" I repeated. He glanced toward the door, as if someone important might walk in and catch him being honest. "I'm not signing anything that places her in the family structure," he said. "I can take care of things privately. I can make sure you're comfortable." Comfortable. I was lying in a hospital bed with stitches, ice chips melting on the tray table, and our daughter asleep against my chest while he offered to make me comfortable. I didn't raise my voice. That surprised him. I saw it in the way his jaw tightened. "You're choosing them," I said. "I'm choosing the future of my family." I looked at him then, really looked at him. The watch, the coat, the clean shave, the same man who painted the nursery sage green with his own hands, who cried at the ultrasound, who told me Maya sounded like a strong name. And suddenly all those tender memories looked less like proof and more like scenes he had known how to perform. I smiled. It wasn't happiness. It wasn't peace. It was the moment a door closed inside me. "Then remember this moment," I whispered, "because it's the last one you'll ever get from us." Julian gave a small laugh, almost gentle, like I was tired, like I would call him by dinner, like women in hospital beds don't make decisions that rearrange entire families. He left the room a few minutes later to take a call. Through the cracked door, I heard only pieces. "Not here." A pause. "I told you, Victoria, I'm handling it." Another pause. "My parents are on their way." My fingers tightened around Maya's blanket. His parents, Arthur and Margaret Vance, had never liked me in any obvious way. They didn't have to. Margaret was polite with the smoothness of a marble countertop, always complimenting my dress while looking at the label. Arthur barely spoke unless the topic involved property, lenders, board schedules, or legacy. At family dinners, I always felt like a guest in a house, where the table had been set long before anyone knew I existed. And now they were coming to meet the baby. Julian had already decided not to claim the way they wanted. I sat there with my daughter on my chest and understood slowly that this had not begun in that room. This had been arranged around me for months, maybe longer. The old restaurant receipt I found in his coat pocket, the calls he took in the driveway, the way Victoria looked away from me at the holiday dinner, the sudden silence whenever I talked about the baby and the family name. I had collected all the small wrong pieces. I had simply refused to assemble them because the picture was too painful to face. That night, my sister Sarah drove 4 hours from Savannah and arrived before sunrise. With her hair in a messy bun, her sweatshirt inside out, and her face set like she had come to hold up the walls. She looked at Maya first. "Oh, Elena," she whispered. Then she looked at me. "What do you need?" Not "where is he?" Nert, "are you sure?" Note, maybe there's an explanation, just, "What do you need?" Almost fell apart then. Sarah took over quietly. She spoke to the nurse, adjusted my pillows, held Maya so I could sleep, and put my phone on silent when Julian's name flashed across the screen. But one number kept calling. Sarah Sterling, my late uncle's estate attorney. She had been trying to reach me for 3 weeks, leaving neat, professional voicemails about a private folder my uncle had wanted reviewed. With me personally, I had ignored the calls because I was 9 months pregnant and convinced it was routine paperwork. At 3:12 a.m., with Maya sleeping beside me and Sarah curled in the visitor chair, I finally called back. Sarah Sterling answered on the second ring like she had been expecting me. "Elena," she said, "I'm sorry, this can't wait." My throat tightened. "What is this about?" "Your uncle left you more than personal effects," she said. "There is a folder involving an old partnership agreement connected to Vance Holdings." I sat up too quickly, pain pulling through my body. "Connected to Julian's family?" "Yes," Sarah Sterling said.